Hey mamas, this is Lissa with Mama Wears Many Hats, and I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're talking our last birth story. Hey mamas, thank you so much for stopping by my channel. If this is your first time, welcome, you're in the right place. Don't click away, promise, you're gonna wanna hear this story. Second, if you're returning, awesome. You know, we're one big family and I'm really glad you're here. Make sure that you hit that like button if this is something that resonates. You could hit the dislike button so I don't make any more of these. Seeing as I have no more kids, there won't be any more birth stories. Make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you make sure you get notified first when I have new content. If you've been following this journey with me, I have shared my birth stories of my children. We'll link them here. You might wonder, Lissa, why are you sharing all these birth stories? I may just be weird, but I really enjoyed listening to other people's birth stories as I was preparing for birth of my own. I was encouraged by hearing other people's positive experiences. I feel like I was able to learn from those who maybe had less than positive outcomes or experiences, and I was able to figure out what kind of birth it was that I wanted. And FYI, just want to tell you, there's no right way to have a birth. You're not a better mom or walking out of the hospital with any kind of an award because you go natural or unmedicated. You are not a smarter mom because you got the epidural or you got induced. Like, you have to do the birth that is going to be the best choice for you and your family. And something I learned the hard way is that that doesn't always mean it'll be the same thing that you expect. Birth plans are awesome. I use them for all of my births, but you've got to hold those with an open hand. To quote Sarah Levon, you got to flex and flow. If you haven't checked her out, I've linked her below. She has a lot of great resources. You should definitely jump over there. I'm gonna jump right into the birth story today, the birth of my precious baby, Milo. If you need to refresh yourself with what Milo looks like because he hasn't been in very many videos lately, you can see his little face right here. He's just so precious. This actually starts about 4 weeks before Milo's due date. Milo's our third child. I was due October 29th. For my OB, your third is a wild card. Apparently just march to their own drum. They have their own rhythm, and that's very true of Milo. Ironically, he was my most difficult pregnancy, but he's been my easiest baby. Maybe there's something in that, I don't know. Let me know with your kids. Did you find that ease of pregnancy was opposite to ease of parenting, or flip that around? When I went in at 36 weeks, my doctor kind of made me a little nervous because he's like, I don't think his head's down. I'm going to send you for an ultrasound to go check. Had an ultrasound, which was really fun. I got to see a little extra picture of Milo, which is great. Was indeed transverse, which means that instead of being top to bottom, he was going across my stomach. Same appointment, I was also diagnosed with gestational hypertension, which means your blood pressure is basically more elevated. It's not a dangerous thing per se, but it does make you potentially more at risk of things like preeclampsia. Because my baby was transverse and because of the high blood pressure, my doctor didn't think that doing a manual turn was going to be an option. So we literally went from everything's great to, oh, you might have to have a C-section. And I was like, oh crap. It was kind of a panicky few days. Fast forward a day, he gave us 48 hours and he said, we'll come back in, we'll do another check. And if he hasn't changed, we'll have to seriously start talking about potential interventions. I went home and let me just tell you, I was praying, I was worshiping, I was talking to Milo and telling him, baby, you turn, you get in that position that you need to be in. Come on, come on. We went in for our next ultrasound and the same technician who did my ultrasound before comes in and looks and she's like, oh my gosh. He's like heads down. She's like, what did you do? I prayed and talked to him and thankfully, I stretched, but that was about it. Thankfully, he had gotten himself into position. Meanwhile, my doctor is going, I'm a little concerned about this whole gestational hypertension. We're going to put you on blood pressure medicine and see if that helps. They put me on blood pressure medicine, which made it manageable, but it was still high. So we were having to monitor that. I was having to go in every couple days for non-stress tests just to make sure baby was fine, make sure I was fine. After about a week of that, my doctor's like, okay, I'm pretty confident that we've got this manageable. I don't feel like we need to induce you before I leave on vacation, but we are going to set an induction date for 39 weeks, which would be October 22nd. This freaked me out. 39 weeks, there's still plenty of time for him to come on his own. I've never gone over 39 weeks with a child. Fingers crossed. You got this. Please come before the 22nd. 18th, 19th, like those would be great days for you to come. So if we could just work on that. we keep going, and I'm now at 37 weeks. We have a little stomach bug that's going around our family. My husband had it, my son had it. It only lasted a few hours and then they were just tired. I ended up getting it from taking care of them. I was sick like crazy. After about 6 hours of being sick like crazy, I found myself middle of the night on the floor in the bathroom, and I start feeling contractions. I rarely form a coherent thought. I haven't been able to keep any liquids down in over 6 hours. Cameron's like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, call the ambulance, like call 911. Something's wrong. So he ends up calling 911. My parents rush over to stay with the kids. The paramedics show up. They load me up in the ambulance. They take me to the nearest hospital. They end up taking me upstairs to labor and delivery because I'm so far pregnant, and they want to make sure that this hasn't started labor. In and out, they're hooking me up to IVs to get me fluids because I'm severely dehydrated. They check my cervix, and I'm at 2.5, which is what I was at the week prior at my OB appointment. I'm able to let them know my cervix isn't dilating anymore. They rule out labor, and because I'm not in labor, they decide to send me back down to the ER. Finally, after about 6 hours, they discharge us, and they're like, you're safe, you're stable, go home, rest, and just try and keep fluids. Mind you, I am throwing up every 10 to 15 minutes and have been for the past 12 hours. Finally, it starts to abate. I'm exhausted. I'm super weak. Can't really eat for another day and a half or so. Finally start to come out of that. Now I'm about 38 weeks and end up with a huge cold. I'm exhausted. My body has just not had time to get enough rest or to heal. I'm sitting here going, Lord, I just need to get some rest before I have to give birth, because if I had to give birth right now, I am so exhausted it would not happen. I'm over it. I'm so over being pregnant at this point. Fast forward to 3 a.m. Friday, October 18th. I wake up. I feel like I'm about to pee my pants, but not like normal. It's not like my bladder. It's more like when you stand up from having a period and you just start feeling things kind of like coming out. So I run to the bathroom really quick, sit down on the toilet, and water starts coming out. Not like gushing, but a constant stream. And again, I'm not having to really force it out. It's just coming out. I sit there, and after a few minutes it stops, and it kind of starts again. And I end up sitting on the toilet for about 30 minutes as it continues to start and stop and start and stop. So at this point I'm going, I bet that's my water breaking. Call the doctor on call. I explain, and they're like, yep, sounds like you're in labor. Go ahead and head to the hospital and we'll meet you there. I'm sitting there going, man, it is October 18th. Dr. Martin's not back yet. Dang. Oh, Milo, couldn't you have held on one more day? Get up though. I'm not having really any contractions. Every once in a while, maybe a really mild one. We get ready. Mom gets here. We jump in the car. We're driving. We're talking. It's so surreal because this is the first time making this drive to the hospital that I'm not in pain. We're laughing and we're like, we're gonna kill this birth. It's gonna be awesome. Old hat, man, this is gonna happen so fast. Because I'm thinking when they broke my water with Evie, and when my water finally broke with Caden, it happened really fast. I'm thinking, I'm having my supernatural childbirth. I'm not in pain. I'm heading to the doctor. My water is broken. This is gonna go so fast. This is gonna be amazing. Can you tell it didn't go like that? Foreshadowing. So getting into triage was really quick. They check me, and I'm at 2.5 centimeters. Apparently I've been at for 3 weeks. I'm saying, you're going, my water broke and I'm still at 2.5 centimeters. They take my blood pressure, and my blood pressure, even though I've taken my medicine, is at 160 over 110 or 120 or something like that. So it's already really high. And I explained to them that I've been diagnosed with gestational hypertension. I am on medication and I have been taking it. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get you set up for an IV port. We'll get you some blood pressure medicine through the IV. And they go and they try to put the IV port in. And they're like, oh, crap. What? We just burst a vein. Okay, we're going to try again. They try another one. Oh, crap. They burst another vein. They end up bursting 3 veins before they decide to just wait and let the anesthetist do the port up on the labor and delivery floor, hoping he'll have better luck. And I'm like, why are my veins bursting? It's the blood pressure. So FYI, apparently, if you have blood pressure that is high enough, it makes it very hard to get an IV in. We get upstairs. The anesthetist, who was an awesome guy, I think his name was Josh, he's able to get the port in without bursting a vein. They're taking my blood pressure. They let me know because of the high blood pressure, they're going to have to be taking that every 30 minutes, 45 minutes or so. But that between that time when I'm taking it, I'm free to be up and moving with my IV. I asked if they had a Monica monitor, which I highly recommend you if you're the type of person that you're planning on laboring without medication or intervention. It sticks to your belly as opposed to being worn with the belt. I'm in between them checking my blood pressure. I'm up, I'm moving around. I'm like, okay, let's get this labor started. It's about 9 a.m. I'm like, we're joking around, we're chatting. We've called my mother-in-law, she's coming over, and we settle in, and I've got the birth ball, and I'm bouncing, and I'm, shifting, and I'm walking, and I'm doing everything I know to do to try and get the contractions to start. Funny story. Y'all know I'm a work-at-home mom. In my labor and delivery room, I was actually running payroll the day while I was there trying to get into labor. Tag work-at-home mom. Time hits. Every once in a while, we're getting a little run of contractions, not too much. I'm dancing, I'm joking, I'm trying to rest, laying on my sides, rotating, literally trying every trick I can think of in the book, and nothing is getting this going. Around 3 o'clock, we're now 12 hours in. No baby, no baby, no baby. The doctor who had stopped by that morning, Dr. Mater, who was awesome, he stopped in at one point, checked me out, let me do my thing. She comes back in, checks me, and I'm still at 2.5 centimeters. She's like, okay, well, we'll let you keep going, but just giving you a heads up, we don't like to let moms go beyond 24 hours after their water breaking without really getting labor going because of the risk of infection. So just be aware that conversation will be coming if labor doesn't start. Crap. So I'm like, okay, Milo, you better, let's get this going. I got my skillet on. So I've got it going. I'm doing everything, again, that I know how to do. Nothing. But finally around 9 o'clock, the doctor who's there for the evening comes in to check on me. It's like, yeah, we're going to have to start Pitocin. You need to prepare yourself for that. That's going to happen. Oh, crap. It's like 9 o'clock and I'm so tired. I'm so hungry. I can't eat anything because I'm checked in. I'm sitting there just like, this is horrible. And this is not the birth I was supposed to be having. I wasn't in pain and I was progressing. I'd be okay with that. But nothing has happened. Nothing's moving the needle. I'm crying. I'm getting really antsy and afraid because I don't want to be induced. Being like, okay, I need to rest. So let me try and get some sleep and we'll start Pitocin in the morning. Send my mom and dad home to rest. My mother-in-law home to rest. And I just remember like having some time with the Lord being like, what the heck? Like, I felt like you told me to look for a supernatural childbirth. This isn't happening. This isn't how it's supposed to go. I'm exhausted. I'm hungry. And they're going to start me on Pitocin, God. What the crap? I just remember being very upset. And I just remember the Holy Spirit being like, Alyssa, just calm down, okay? You wanted this birth to be a peaceful birth that showed people that God is a God of peace and God is a God of restoration. You didn't want to have a traumatic birth like you did with Everly. You need to have a birth marked by peace. Have peace in this situation. Don't let the circumstance steal your peace. And I just remember being like, okay, people have Pitocin every day. Having Pitocin does not mean I will end up with a C-section. Okay. Around 5 o'clock, the nurse comes in. She's like, are we starting Pitocin? I'm like, yep. Let me call my mom. We'll start it when she gets here. So my mom and dad get there around 5:30, come in, and they're like, hey, since this is your third baby, we're going to go ahead and actually start you on a half dose of Pitocin. I guess normally they'll do 2 units every 15 minutes. They were going to start me on 1 unit every 30 minutes, which I'm really, really grateful for. If you are nervous or concerned about these kind of things, please talk with your support staff because they don't want you to be in a place of anxiousness. That doesn't help you labor. Let them know what your concerns are. See if there's anything you can do to find a happy medium. They said, we'll start that, we'll go slow, and just see if we can get the labor started. They start the Pitocin, and I just have to stop really quick and say, for all you moms who have either opted to have inductions or have had to have inductions and you've started labor full on with Pitocin, the full 2 units every 15 minutes, you are my hero, okay? Even if you've had to opt for the epidural and you felt like anyone ever made you feel like you chose wrong or that you were weak, the devil is a liar, okay? I'm not even kidding. Having had 2 unmedicated births and having been induced with Pitocin, Pitocin contractions are 10 times worse than unmedicated, normal, your body's kicking it into labor contractions. Just rest at ease, okay? You'll see as the story progresses. I'm right there with you. I've got the Pitocin, I'm walking the halls, my blood pressure kind of keeps spiking, so they're having to mediate that as well. We're doing everything we know how to do. At around 9 o'clock, they're like, hey, we have a doula on the floor. There's no one else here. Would you like her to come in? And I'm thinking, yes. Let me just say also, at this point, I'm kind of feeling like Rachel from Friends. You know, when she goes in to have the baby and like they keep wheeling people in and wheeling people out. And
okay, but you listen to me. You listen to me. Since I have been waiting 4 women, that's 4. One higher than the number of centimeters that I am dilated, have come and gone with their babies. I'm next. It's my turn.
4 or 5 people come and she's still there. This is how I'm feeling right now. They have the doula come in and she's amazing. And she's helping, she's really helping to direct Cameron. She's showing us some new things we can try. At one point she hears I've got my skillet playing and she's like, is this really soothing you? And I'm like, you have no idea. It really is. Really cool because she wasn't a Christian. And at one point she looked at my mother-in-law and she's like, this is a really peaceful birthing room. Like, I really love how focused and encouraging the atmosphere is in here. It's really great. And so it's really funny to have been in a point where I was freaked out. Now I'm not freaked out. We're in a place of peace. And the thing that I really wanted for my birth, which was a peaceful birth that people could feel, is still happening. They come in at 9 o'clock and I have progressed to a 4. So they kick up the Pitocin. Stuff is happening, not happening fast enough. Around 11:30, they take my blood pressure and it is 200/160. And I hear them talking, mentioning further interventions. And I know that this means they're about to start talking C-section. They're worried about my blood pressure. They're worried about how the baby's responding to that, all that kind of stuff. The pain at this point is horrific. They check me and I'm only at a 6. And I remember looking at my mom saying, I am so scared of an epidural, but I don't want a C-section. And I know the pain is what's making this so bad. Now, granted, there was lots of pausing as I was saying that and we were discussing this. So I end up looking at them and I'm like, I want the epidural. Never thought I'd say that. I already had 2 unmedicated births. I know how to do this. Oh no. At a 6 on the Pitocin, the contractions were worse than my contractions in transition, unmedicated. So again, for you mamas who have labored with Pitocin, just know you all are heroes. You're amazing. Any mom who puts herself in the position to bring life into this world is amazing. Doesn't matter how it happens, okay? If you're a mom who has a C-section, you're really my hero because that crap freaks me out. That people are like, I could never do natural unmedicated birth. And I'm like, I could never have a C-section because it scares the crap out of me. They would have to knock me out. They would have to knock me out to get that done. Not because I think there's anything wrong with it, but because it terrifies me. Birth is birth. Mama, you had a baby, you're a rock star. I tell them I want the epidural, call the anesthesiologist, 11:30. The anesthesiologist gets there within like 10 minutes and he administers the epidural, which really, let me just say, was not that bad. Anesthesiologist was awesome, did not hurt. So he warns me it'll take about 20 minutes for it to go fully into effect. When it does, we're gonna lay you down because it's gravity based and it'll help it get to where it needs to go. We're looking at my mom saying, all right, I'm gonna have the epidural. At least I'll be able to take a nap and be rested for when it comes time to push. I lay back and I can still feel everything on my right side. And so I tell the nurse, I can still feel everything on my right side. She's like, okay, well, we'll roll you over there because again, it's gravity based and it'll help it get to where it needs to go. So she rolls me onto my side. And no joke, as soon as I'm on my side, I have to push. And anyone who's had a baby, you know exactly the feeling I'm talking about, where you feel like you're about to poop your pants and you need to push out something. Keep in mind, less than 10 minutes ago, I was at 6 centimeters. So they're like, well, let us check you. So, oh, honey, you're at a 10. Let us get the doctor. She's across the street. Don't push. And I'm like, what? The doctor comes over. She's there within 10 minutes. And in my mind, I'm thinking they are taking their sweet time getting this all ready. They start breaking down the bed, doing their thing. And I remember looking at my mom and being like, tell her to move her butt, but not the word for butt. Because my body was trying to push without me even doing it. She comes over there, she's like, let me check you. Oh, we're crowning, I see a head, let's go ahead. And I remember looking at my mom at one point as I was getting ready to push, and I'm like, this is not fair. I was supposed to get a nap. Oh, keep in mind, I am crowning, and I have not started pushing at all. They get me all ready. My mom's there, Cameron's there, Nancy's there, the doula's there. I go, with the next contraction, go ahead and push. The next contraction comes, I push, 1, 2, they have you do it for counts of 10. Breathe, I push, 1, 2, breathe, I push, and out comes Milo. 3 pushes, 1 contraction. He just slides out. After the first one, she's like, I see his shoulders. Next one, she's like, and here he is. She pulls him, she gets him up to me, and this kid, I know this is like totally irrelevant, but he had the longest umbilical cord you have ever seen. It was seriously wrapped up and over his shoulder, down around, back up into the placenta that is still inside me, and he's resting on my chest. Kid was like Indiana Jones. with his little umbilical cord. He cries a little bit. It's precious. We're like, oh, we're holding him. They're cleaning him off. We let the cord stop pulsing on its own. We did this with all 3 of our children. My husband goes over while they're just patting him down because we delayed cleaning him up. They're just patting the vernix into him while they're taking care of me. Unfortunately, with the epidural, I felt the whole pushing. It wasn't as bad as pushing without, but again, the epidural hadn't even, had barely taken full effect, and I could still feel everything on my right side. Something's happening with my placenta. I'm not sure exactly, but they're pushing harder and they're trying to help it to detach because it's taking a little longer. Or again, I tore with all 3 of my kids. I will say this, the epidural was amazing for the tear. Way better than that local stuff they give you when they're sewing you up. Sews me up. They bring me Milo. We're talking with him. He is precious. A lot of times when babies are born, they're kind of bluish. His color came so fast. He looked normal. His head was not a weird shape, which again, a lot of times babies, as they're pushing out, their head kind of gets a little elongated. His head was perfect. Everyone who walked by went, oh my gosh, his head is perfect. Oh my gosh. For the whole stay. We go ahead and start nursing him. He latches like a champ, which FYI, this kid, I'm just going to give you these little stats. Babies lose a little bit of their birth weight. He was 7 pounds 11 ounces when he was born. He was 7 pounds 5 ounces when we left the hospital. About 48 hours after we left the hospital, we called his pediatrician, and we went in a little early for our visit because he was looking a little yellow, and I was afraid that maybe he was a little jaundiced. We get in there, and they weigh him, and he is 7 pounds 11 ounces. He recouped his birth weight in 2 days. All that to say, he nursed like a champ from the very beginning. It was so chill. I tried to wake him up to feed him, and he, you could take the wipe, you could do whatever. He was not even waking up. We could change his diaper, change his clothes, and he'd just be out. Funny enough, the first time he actually cried, cried, was when they went to put clothes on him. And to this day, that kid likes being naked, or at least in a diaper. Our support staff was amazing. They were great. We go into recovery. My husband and I had actually joked before going in that we were so excited for our vacation. 2 days in a hospital with just a newborn. It was like staying at a hotel. They bring us our food. We can just watch Netflix. We can just chill. Let your recovery room be what is going to bring you the most peace and let you rest, so that as you prepare to start your new life with your new child, you're going into it built up, not exhausted. And it's okay to sleep. It's okay to let people come and visit you and hold the baby and sleep while they're holding the baby. It's okay to say, I don't want anyone to come visit me. You're already going to be tired. Okay? That's my little exhortation at the end of this video. Day 2, Caden and Everly came to meet Milo. Caden loved it. I will put some pictures in here of them meeting him. Evie was not so excited about Milo. In fact, at one point she tried to cry and run from the room. She has since come around, and he's like her BFF. But just know, adjustments can be a little different from child to child. I'm actually going to be doing a video about how to prepare your children for the birth of a new sibling. You would be interested in seeing something like that, because we did have some stuff that really helped, and we haven't had any jealousy with our kids. Evie just didn't understand why I had been gone and why there was a new baby, but she didn't have any jealousy. If you would like some tips about that, or some hacks on preparing your kids for your new baby, let me know in the comments, and I will work on getting that put together. Anyway, mamas, that is my story. I would love to hear more about your birth stories. Again, just like in all my other videos, if you have a video that you want to link to in the comments, please do. I'd love to go check out your birth story. I'd love to invite everyone from my channel to go check out any birth stories that are in the comments, because again, the more we can see that birth is a natural part of life and that this is what our bodies were made to do, the more women will be empowered and be at peace in their birthing situation. So, mamas, for those of you who are getting ready to birth beauty literally into this arena of life, you can do it. I'm so excited for you. I want to know how your birth experience is, or how it's going. If you are expecting and you have any comments or concerns, let me know in the comments. I would love to know about that. I linked in the past video, and I'll link again, to Nurse Zabe. She has a great video all about how to make decisions about interventions while you're in the throes of birth. We'll link to that below, and I will also put a card up here so that you can go check that out. I highly encourage you to look into that. All right, mamas, thank you so much for being here. Make sure that you check out Everly's birth video or Caden's birth video. Make sure that you subscribe, hit like if you enjoyed this, ring that bell so you know when I put out new videos. Remember, those come out Tuesdays and Fridays, and sometimes in between. Mamas, you got this. Go birth beauty into every arena of your life.